Welcome to Turn a Page, the official comic book club for Nerd Initiative. Each week, the NI Bullpen will be covering the world of comics, talking to creators, deep diving into some fantastic stories, and much more. Now let's hand it over to the team and turn a page.
And what is going on, everyone? It is Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you are tuned into Nerd Initiative's YouTube and streaming services for another edition of Turn a Page, the official comic book club from Nerd Initiative. My name is Ken M. You know me as the host of the ODPH podcast, but I'm also Nerd Initiative's comics editor-in-chief. To my left, your right, take it away.
Coming at you live and direct straight from folding chair in the ODPH studios. My name's Off the Cuff Tom, Nerd Initiative's pop culture connoisseur. Ken, Matt, always a pleasure.
And joining us, our other co-host, you know him as one half of the dynamic duo of Drafts and Dialogue, bringing you the pop culture knowledge you need to know each and every week. It's Matt from Hops Geeks News. Matt, what's going on?
What's up, boys? This is a good one we got going today, man. This is a near and dear comic book to my heart.
Yeah, this is one that when we were originally going to be doing was right around the Valentine's Day, a little peek behind the curtain, if you will. And this is a story that still holds up to this day. And it is the story that introduced arguably one of DC Comics' most popular characters over the past 30 years, if not longer.
It was a beginning and an end, if you really think about it, considering that this was the backstory of Harley Quinn. And secondly, Mad Love was also adapted. I forget which came first, the chicken or the egg in this situation. But it was also the last of the Batman, The New Adventures episodes before they went to the Justice League. So it is the beginning and the end.
Yes, that's right. So for tonight's episode of Turn a Page, we're actually talking a deep dive of a breakdown of one of our favorite comics, and that is Batman Adventures 1993 classic Mad Love, the introduction of Harley Quinn into the DC Comics universe. So if you're new to the show, first and foremost, thank you for checking us out. We do have a little homework assignment that we'd like to promote here, and that is to make sure you click the subscribe button at Nerd Initiative so you don't miss any minute of the content. Hit that bell notification to make sure you're reminded of all the great content that's coming your way of the home of pop culture positivity, and make sure to tap that like button that does let the bosses know that you like what you're seeing here on Nerd Initiative. We are going to be doing a deep dive into the story, so if you haven't read it yet and you don't want to be spoiled, we give you that heads up. We are going to be talking spoilers once we get into it, but we're going to just do a quick round table around about what we liked about this book or initial thoughts of it, starting with Matt.
Oh, man. Yeah. So this book, fun little backstory. I made a big mistake once upon a time, and it was my first wedding anniversary. And our wedding anniversaries typically have a theme behind them, right? And so it was paper. My wife went all out. She got me this comic book, first comic book she actually ever bought me. So it was kind of like a symbol of like, not like a Joker Harley Quinn love, because it's a very abusive relationship. It was more of like, hey, this is the first comic book she got me. She went all out for our first anniversary. She got me this. She was super excited, over the moon. Yeah, I got her nothing. Got her nothing. So I was a young boy who she was like, I don't need anything for our anniversary. I don't want anything. Well, young me took that to heart. So I did not get her anything. And so the rage, that she kind of felt was similar to that of Harley Quinn when she feels like Joker isn't paying attention to her, isn't giving her that love deserves. So I have since learned from my mistakes, for the most part, that is. But man, I really love this comic book. Batman animated series overall, the aesthetic, Bruce Timm, Paul Dini, they really got me through some tough times in life, man. That was my comfort show for a while. And so the essence is right here. Like it's ripped straight from the animated series itself, of course, because that's kind of where we also get an introduction to Harley Quinn. And yeah, dude, I love this comic book. It's just like a fun, easy read, lighthearted. But there's some good stuff that happens in there.
Tom?
Sounds like Matt needed his walking papers on that first anniversary.
I somehow made it 9 years in April, so here we are, guys.
Well, having that said, they say you can't hear pictures. Obviously, being an adaptation of the fantastic, phenomenal, unbelievable, will go down in history of comic book of superhero cartoons. That's all you hear is you're going through every page and every panel. You're hearing Arlene Sorkin, you're hearing Mark Hamill, you're hearing Kevin Conroy, you're hearing just everybody. And it's just like Matt said, it is a comfort show. Reading this book was just wrapping yourself up in a warm blanket of just nostalgia. And it was it's drawn so perfectly in the style. It still has that nice dark tone to every single panel. It's mad. I got mad love for it.
Well, you have to remember at this time too, Batman the Animated Series was just carving its niches, arguably comics' greatest animated show. I mean, arguably.
No, he wasn't carving. It was a damn foundation. They were just laying it down.
And when we heard about a character getting introduced this, and it was the Joker's girlfriend, everybody really took notice because obviously you know about Batman and Joker, the iconic duo. I mean, the fight forever definition in comics. So to add a new dynamic into it, and especially how that character won over the audience, that it forced the hand to get Harley added into comics, it was really a big deal of showing out, one, the impact of the show, and two, the fans screaming, hey, we want to see more of this character. And especially from seeing where she was then in 1993 to now, which is a whole different metamorphosis of pop culture acceptance. It's really astonishing to see the growth because this is much in the same vein of Daryl Dixon on The Walking Dead. The character was just meant for the small screen, never was expected to be much more than a background character, and really stole the show. And this story by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, I mean, exemplifies just how great this character is, because for the first time, comic readers really saw, I don't want to say an equal to the Joker, but somebody that was on that same level of just insanity, but yet cunning at the same time. I mean, that's the way I take it. Chat, super chat, definitely throw your picks in about your opinions of Harley Quinn. But let us get deep diving into this episode and this issue too, because it starts off very simple with Commissioner Gordon going to the dentist. I mean, it's a normal, like I say, nothing going wrong here at all until all of a sudden, well, the man that is waiting to take a look at his teeth is the one and only Joker himself.
He's got all the Dr. Giggles vibes.
Yeah. I mean, this scene right here, Matt, I mean, what's your reaction seeing this right off the gate?
It's classic, man. It's, of course, like the Joker's going to be the dentist making his little quips. It's like the animated series. It's through and through. And it's this is like a Joker before Joker really became, he's always been like sadistic, but before we kind of modernized dark, I don't really know how to fully describe it, I guess, but it's just like slapstick humor. And I think that's that Joker-esque, that slapstick kind of humor that he used to have.
Yeah, I would say it's kind of on that same vibe as like Batman 66 with Cesar Romero.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I think the show really caught, but they dabbled into a little more of the darker aspect of like the Jack Nicholson portrayal of the Joker in '89. So you kind of have like a good mix here, but this is just like really, walking a fine line between both. And then we get the introduction of Harley Quinn, who's the assistant here, as they're about ready to, start drilling into Commissioner Gordon, but then is saved by the one and only Batman flying through the window too. And just really, like I said, this whole scene right here, Tom, like, what is your reaction seeing this?
Ba, 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 ba. I gotta stop there for copyright infringement. I mean, it's perfect. It's Batman smashing through. He's catching, Joker off guard. I also appreciate in this that there are certain scenes where we see. So going to the cartoon real quick, when they switched over to the new Batman Adventures and they did some redesigns on some of the characters, I was not particularly the biggest fan of the Joker when he got like the dark eyes with the white pupils. So to see in the comic book form, we get that beady eyed Joker, but it's, we actually see the whites of his eyes. Mm-hmm. So that's just a weird little quip for me that I absolutely love because you get that. You get that sadistic look that's coming in there without the malice or that spotty black-eyed Joker head. And it's
yeah. Like I say, this is just picture perfect Batman and Joker, and especially seeing how it all goes down with Harley getting involved and being the distraction to the Joker and being that, like say, Batman off his game, that he gets sidetracked, he has to let Joker escape, and then you see this big explosion happen here where he winds up saving Gordon. But this is just like the tip of the iceberg of what Harley does, because she's her own dynamic in this story as well. And it's one that you kind of see as she's progressing through the story, like she's just not your average sidekick. I mean, that's the kind of vibe I got, Matt. I don't know about you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, they even kind of dig into it a little bit too when you get the two perspectives of her origin story, so to speak, which they kind of give you where she was a gymnast as a teenager. And I'm probably jumping ahead a little bit here, but you know, she's a gymnast as a teenager. She became a psychiatrist at Arkham and just became infatuated, wanted to write a book on Joker, became infatuated with him. And then, you know, that you get her side of the story, you kind of get Batman's like origin kind of thing. And the two kind of mesh together. But it's really cool because she is that gymnast. She is very much that yin to the yang for Joker. She's that bright, bubbly personality in like a different way. She's more innocent, whereas Joker, as we see here in particular, that panel where he was about to go drilling into Commissioner Gordon, he kind of has, we're moving like this one right here. You see the real anger on Joker's face, and a very fantastic panel too, like the colors. So she kind of like is opposite of him. She's just bubbly, that bubbly personality that Joker has, that simmering, boiling frog inside, ready to burst at any moment, where she's very much the opposite.
Yeah, like I say, it plays off so well. And then you see Batman escape and go back to the Batcave, and I love like how they have this setup. Like this shot right here, I mean, it just screams animated, it screams classic. This is just
Yeah.
vintage. I mean, it might be one of my favorite shots, even though it's like a low key one. But still, it kind of establishes as he's going through and trying to find out about Harley Quinn because he doesn't know a lot about it. He's like, Joker has an accomplice. I have to kind of dig into a little bit. And that's where we start getting into the background about who Harley is. And then, like Matt touched upon, we find out about her history being a gymnast and then her going to the psychology department at Gotham U. And then has already kind of alluded that she's a little mischievous, shall we say, Tom?
She got the easy A.
Yeah.
I also want to point out the fact that that one panel of her just as the going to school to Gotham State University on the gymnastics scholarship, that's still here we are 30 plus years later, and we're using that as one of her defining characteristics. You know, in other iterations down the line, we've seen her now being an Olympic level gymnast. You know, in some adaptations. So to take that one tiny little thing and expand upon it, it's always great, especially with a character like this. That you know, again, this is the beginning of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you see, Alfred's kind of breaking it down with him too. And then it kind of does flash into a little bit about the Joker Harley romance, if you will. And like I say, it's always just when I think toxic relationships, this is prime example. I mean, this is just one of the most unhealthy things possible. And as you see in the panel here too, the Joker is just yelling at Harley when Harley's just trying to be romantic and trying to win him over. And he's just so obsessed with Batman. Arguably his true love, would you say, Matt?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he kind of almost even says it in this comic. You know, it's alluding to Batman's death. It has to be this grand masterpiece. You don't just kill Batman and on a normal Tuesday afternoon. You got to build up to it. It's his magnum opus, his lifelong mission. There is no Joker without Batman, and no Batman without Joker. They're kind of married to each other of all else.
Yeah. I mean, would you agree, Tom?
Oh, that's a beautiful way to put it. I mean, the fact that Joker is so infatuated with the Bat to the point that, you know, Harley's just like throwing it out there, and we all know the line, "Do you want to rev up your Harley?" 10-year-old me is like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'm not catching it." 40-plus-year-old me is going, "Idiot."
Yeah.
She's right there, man. Look at that red lingerie.
Throwing it at you.
But you know, that's the one thing about the Joker and his insanity too. And then when he kicks Harley out too, and you see the shot here that, you know, she's not blaming him for anything. It's
always
literally Batman that when he's even screaming, "Don't call me Puddin'," and kicks her out. It's like it immediately resolves back to Batman. And when you have this flashback sequence about when she's going to Arkham for the first time, and this is where we start meeting the relationship between Joker and Harley. And just, you can tell early on, obviously, the Joker's charisma here is just through the roof. And Harley, and like the thing about him is he's such a con man. Like he can definitely tell who he can pick apart. And instantaneously, he knows he has Harley wrapped around his finger. I mean, this is just one of the more like, you know, side things of the Joker. We always just know him for being just the pure force of insanity, Tom. But just seeing how he's doing the slow con here, like, what's your take on that?
It's Joker to a T. I mean, what's Batman's greatest weapon?
His brain.
Time.
Yeah.
Well,
prep time.
Prep time. Exactly. So, I mean, you're only as good as your villain. So, I mean, if you give Joker enough time, something's going to happen. And I also think that also said something about Harley as well. She was going in there with the mindset that, like Alfred said, she wanted to be that pop psychologist. She wanted the big break. She wanted the fame, the glamour. I mean, she just kind of wanted to be the next Dr. Phil before Dr. Phil was Dr. Phil. You know what I'm saying? And I think we need to psychoanalyze her, especially. But, okay, I'm just going to keep going there.
Yeah. I mean, it plays out too, especially when you see that Joker is now sending her flowers and notes in her office. I mean, Matt, are you just thinking the same thing I am? Like, what's the security status here at Arkham if he's allowed to do this?
There is absolutely zero security status. I mean, the revolving door of people that just must be quitting after every single breakout. That's like, what am I doing? Or the fired or whatever it is. Like, how is he getting away? Who does he hand deliver them? Who is delivering these flowers?
Yeah. Well, he even says, I put it there. Like when she goes to confront him about it, which is just absolutely insane too. And, she's sitting there like, well, you really shouldn't do that. He's like, what are you going to do? Turn me in?
And that's the thing. Like, yes, he did do it. He got it in there because he has he's that damn conniving. And I love the fact that when you see the vase with the single flower and the note, from Jay, because it wasn't Mr. J or Puddin yet, we really got that. We know that the animated series and this are definitely pulling on the noir strings. But just, you get the slats from the blind and you see her smelling it and the muted colors and everything like that right there is just one of my favorite panels. Yes, Batmobile pulling up is cool, but seeing her get intoxicated just from the scent of a rose, yeah, that one got me.
Dude, I think one of the really unsung things that this comic does really well is its use of color, Tom. Like you were saying, is they do a really good job with the shading, the brightness, all that kind of thing. When it needs to get that noir style, like flashback sequence, like the old days, they kind of go to that black and white tinge, if you will, and that's really a strength of this comic book.
Secondly, they really come back also, standards back then on cartoons, kids cartoons. Women couldn't be as curvy as they were. And, this being that particular point of the 90s, Harley got some, she thick in certain places. And if you look carefully, there's bits.
Well, it's the evolution. It's the evolution of characters, like I say. And especially too in the animated style here, where you kind of really see the Joker kind of just like pushing the envelope a little bit with even his mannerisms as he's talking with Harley too. Like I say, it's one that you can definitely see it's working over, and especially too, it gets to a situation where he winds up flipping on Harley the stat quo. That he goes from being the one getting questioned, getting psychoanalyzed, to now he's doing it to her. And I always thought that was just kind of just like it proves just what kind of games Joker plays, because it's not so much about the zany gags, it's about what he's really up to, and then how it all ties back into Batman. Like no matter what it does, it's the obsession with the bat. And you can even tell on the screen here that Harley has taken her notes and even circles Batman down too because of how Joker alludes to it, because he gives this whole story about his family growing up and how his dad took him to the circus and like this whole nonsense going on. And it's such a story to say the least.
Oh yeah.
Like I say, Matt, when you're hearing this going down, you're just like, part of you is like rolling your eyes and the other half of you is going like, yeah, he's really believing this, and she is hook, line, and sinker all in.
Oh, he is laying it on thick. He is me explaining to my parents why I got that C on the report card or I didn't turn my homework in. Right then and there, just selling it. She's eating it up from the get-go. Yeah, no, there's no way this is true. And I think that's one of the beautiful things is you never actually know what Joker's origin story really is. There's many different things that happen, but it's never like this was explicitly his childhood kind of thing. And here's just another tale to tell from the Joker.
Yeah. Tom?
What Matt said?
Yeah. I mean, it's the easiest way to do it,
Seriously.
Like I say, that's just how he is. I mean, super chat, throw your votes in there about that. Like just how Joker structures his plans here. I mean, it's true mad genius, but that's what buys into it. And as you see when, he's getting taken away a little bit and she's making the note about Batman, we get to the quick flashback of what she's picturing in her head too, as she's getting the psychoanalyst going on. And then when you see, like I say, this moment right here, this is how she's processing everything going on. But you can tell that she's blindly following him too because she's so much infatuated with him. It just is such a weird dynamic that when he gets out and is doing his next crime and Batman goes, well, Batman on him, and you see just the absolute demolishing of him. Like I say, this is just, like I say, vintage Batman Joker at their best, where Batman is just brooding, absolutely torn to shreds, but Joker looks so much worse for wear. I love this panel because it's so classic. I mean, that's like the whole story or the artwork in this is classic. But when you see stuff like this, Tom, like if you have to explain this to a new reader, like you say, this is Batman 101.
This is Batman 101. And I mean, it's the whole Florence Nightingale effect that Harley has with Joker. If you think about it at that point, especially, being his doctor, the whole, everything gets skewed. I think that's why, like, I'm good at doing personally hospitality because, oh, hey, you're out the door. Bye. I could never do what, our medical professionals do because transference, that's the word I'm looking for. That is exactly what happens with people in the medical field when they get so deeply and emotionally tied to their patients. Harley is textbook, if you think about it.
Yeah. Me, Matt, your thoughts on that?
You go back to that shot, I mean, it's textbook Batman Joker. Like, Joker's being hauled away with that smile on his face, like a kid who just got caught again, right? He was stealing. Like, Joker's almost happy to be caught. Batman's angry, the dad who's like, come home again to take care of it. Everyone's appalled. But really, this is also a testament to the two of them. Again, like, look how tattered their clothes are. They just went through a battle. And both of them, again, give them that prep time, so to speak. But yeah, it's kind of what also Tom was saying, like that infatuation. Like, it's a very fine line. You got to be able to disconnect yourself. And that's something Harley was not able to do. And I don't even know if she necessarily wanted to from the get-go. She was very successful right off the bat.
And looking at Joker's face, I mean, it's a true definition of punch drunk. Dude is just...
There is no lights are on, nobody's home.
Yeah, nobody's there, but that's how Batman always leaves him.
He definitely got the punchline that day.
Yeah, and then when you see Harley go to console him, and Batman's reaction is like, "What?"
Yeah,
and you see just how mad she gets as Joker's hauled away to Arkham, and then that motivates her. Like the light bulb clicks on with her that Batman needs to be taken out. And this is just where you see the origin story begin. Like, this is the villain era kicking in completely, because then you start seeing her break in to the costumes store. She winds up stealing the costume, and then we get the iconic first look at Harley Quinn. And this is one moment, like I say, when she goes and breaks him out of Arkham. This is the defining moment of like everything that we've been building for in this issue. And like I say, we talk about iconic pictures. This right here is definition iconic in my eyes. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
I still look at this and go, "Mommy."
I mean, it's something that you've seen how many artists take their take on it. A lot of artists have always given their rendition of it. And this is the first time, like, yeah, in the beginning of the comic book, you get to see her in her outfit. But this is like the first time that she has ever worn it, shown up, boom, this is now her transformation. It's like any superhero movie, any superhero comic book, when they introduce that new hero or villain, boom, suit shot right there. Only there are no bat nipples in this one.
Yes. And as we see the escape from Arkham, this is where Harley just excels at, and we see like everything that she's learned from the Joker, and then her abilities too as a gymnast too, like are all come into play. So when they wind up escaping and she's back in the alleyway, so we tie this all back into when she was kicked out, she's having those delusions of grandeur that like, oh, I now have a future with him. And it's like, it has pictures of him having kids and, like the whole nine. And then it comes to the idea that it goes back to the old Joker plot about the poison fish that he's had for years. And we've seen different interpretations of this throughout comics, throughout pop culture. And she sees like the one area that he's gotten wrong. And to see this moment like click in, for me as a reader, I was like, oh, this is not going to go over well, because it's just now you have somebody that is going to steal away the thunder that Joker has been wanting to do for years, and now she has the capabilities. And Matt, when you're seeing this panel take place, like what is going through your mind?
Yeah, she's had the capabilities, man. She's here. She's showing that she's not just all brains, but she's also got the bronze and the athleticism to back it up. And she's not just a one-off.
Mm-hmm.
What I find interesting is the fact that Harley, coming from that psychoanalytical background, is probably why she found the gaping hole in Mr. J's, plan. Also, if we can take one quick circle back, if there's that one scene where she's in her own delusion, with the kids
having the
and
babies
everything.
and everything.
Yeah. Anybody notice the 2 cameos over the mantle?
No, I probably have many times,
It's
but I didn't.
Babs and Buster Bunny
Oh
from
my
Tiny
God.
Toons.
Yeah, and it even looks like Barney maybe on the floor there with a knife in him, the dinosaur.
The
purple
art
dinosaur.
switches in that particular panel when she's having that dream, right? It's kind of like a very different looking art, and it's fun because it's almost cartoonish. Like, this whole comic book feels cartoonish.
It really
but this was
goes
cartoonish.
into very family circus kind of feel.
Yeah, like
So-
it's wild to see, but I mean, this is just how just ingenious this was too. Because I mean, that little tidbit is because they're both on Fox Kids Network
Correct.
at the time. So yeah, that's kind of just is a nice little Easter egg played in there. Very very solid catch.
Thank you.
And
It's
then,
my job.
And then as we see the trap is laid for Batman, a VHS tape winds up at Gotham PD. It's Harley pleading her case that she's fearing about the Joker is going to lose it, and sets up this big production where she's at the docks of the Gotham Harbor. Batman goes to confront her, and then when he gets there, well, he winds up figuring out that something's not right. But in the distance, we see a Joker on a boat shooting at them.
Yes.
So this is kind of an interesting setup because Batman goes to take care of it, and sure enough, it's a robot. And then during this whole time, she winds up drugging him and taking him back to their lair,
Dude,
where she's now setting up for the death trap. I mean, Matt, what's your take on this?
she gets the drop on Batman, dude. How many people can say they get the drop on Batman?
Harley Quinn.
There's a very short list of people that straight up just get the drop on him, and she does it in a clever way because she knows he's gonna, again, that psychology aspect of her is gonna kick in. He's not gonna pay attention to me. He's gonna forget about me the second he sees Joker, because that's just who they are. And sure enough, Batman decapitates the robot, and next thing you know, he's waking up upside down over a bowl of piranhas.
Yeah. I mean, it's so classic, and yet it makes perfect sense because when Harley winds up setting the death trap here, I mean, Tom, what are you kind of taking away from this moment?
Bat shark repellent.
I did too. Not going to lie.
Honestly, yes.
This reeked of Batman 66, and I'm not mad about this one bit. And then this entire time, you're seeing that Harley is about ready to take her victory lap, and she's explaining to Batman, like, no, this was all me. This had nothing to do with Joker. I'm the one who did this. You're the one standing in my way. And Batman, to his credit, just goes, yeah, it's going to be a shame when he finds out what you did, because you're not going to be on the good side of him. And he actually starts laughing at her.
She stole Joker's moment.
Yeah. And this actually freaks Harley out because she's like, I've never seen you laugh before. Like, why are you laughing? And he's like, the Joker loves himself and the obsession that he can kill me. You are now stealing this from him. Do you understand what you've done? And Harley's like, no, this has never happened. What are you talking about? This is not going down. And Batman is just picking her apart, doing the psychoanalysis on her.
She gets
Uno reversed.
She gets a good way to put it, but she gets mentally beaten in the way that Joker was beaten earlier when she was still Dr. Quinzel. Because you saw that breakdown, but this time it is completely flipped. You see her, she unlocks that same exact, rage and hurt and pain that she had seeing, Joker after the last encounter with Batman. So it's a great full circle for me.
Oh no, absolutely. And it just goes to show like how Batman has taken the situation and figured out what to do. And this starts breaking Harley. That Harley's like, no, you're wrong. He really loves me. And he goes, yeah, he probably gave you this story. Well, how about this one when he went to the circus when he was a kid? And just when that moment hits.
For 3 days.
Yeah, you just see just the air let out of the room. I mean, Matt, like, how do you describe this whole scenario?
Yeah, I mean, oops. He's just
Yeah.
like putting this oops. It's great. It kind of culminates this whole entire thing, and it's came home a little too early, found something he didn't want to see.
Yep. And
Yeah.
sure enough, and Batman even tips him off, says, you know what? If you really feel so confident about it, call him up and let him know what you did.
Yeah,
Do
He does,
And no, go.
I was just saying, yeah, it's again, man, a testament to like Batman right there. Is like the way he outsmarts her. It's like, go ahead, call her. Let's see. He gets so in her brain because he knows how this is going to play out. Because he
Yeah.
knows the Joker better than anybody else will ever know the Joker, which is kind of why he always just loosely throws Joker back in Arkham Asylum, because it's almost like he loves the cat and mouse. But it's fantastic.
I think he does.
He-
Like, as
I-
sick as that
there's-
sounds.
Yeah.
Because you would think this, to go on a slight tangent.
Go for it.
Batman's like arguably one of the smartest people in the entire DCU, right?
Mhm.
The Batcave is impenetrable. Like, nobody can figure out how to get down there, except if you move the time clock. So the only thing he has to watch is, a clocksmith. How come he can't go in there and upgrade that security system in Arkham? Ever?
He could easily.
Yeah.
He has the money. Bruce Wayne could go in there tomorrow and fund a whole entire new security system, security team for Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
Nobody would ever escape from there again. But
Yeah.
Batman loves the chase. He
Yeah,
does.
like, he can't turn it off. And
Bat-
that's why.
Batman's gotten caught in a sense of purpose. What is Batman without a villain or without a reason to go out, wake up every night? I mean, we've said it how many times before. Bruce Wayne's the mask.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if there's no mission, there's no Batman.
I say he's
Batman's
just
beating
cosplaying.
up teenage kids who were stealing bicycles.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah. So once we establish that Joker now catches wind of what Harley's done, well, he handles this, is about as calm, cool, and rational as anybody does. Screaming into the phone, "Where are you?" And he is flying down the
Sounds
highway.
like my mom when I was at a party when I shouldn't have been.
Yeah. And he's just going through his head, I now need to explain to the rest of the rogues that my assistant killed Batman and I couldn't. And that actually puts the one thing we have never seen in Joker, and that's fear.
Yeah.
That his ego is going to get shattered. So his life mission is now hanging on by a thread. So he is going there. Gotham PD understands where he is. Harley is sitting there just planning on the celebration here, thinking about growing old with him and having just those moments because she's like about ready to drown Batman in the tank. And then you see the moment where Joker bursts through screaming, "Harley!
Harley!
Right at her.
Can
And
we
just that moment. I mean, Matt, your reaction seeing this.
can we just take a minute to like appreciate the lettering?
Yes.
I really love that just lettering, because you hear Joker shriek. You hear Mark Hamill's voice, that high pitched wail in pain and fear, and you just leaps off the page.
Yes.
She's looking. She thinks she's like innocent. I did a good thing, but he's mad, and it just this whole scene again. Just the lettering really hammers home the direness for Joker.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It is probably one of the best full panel splash pages I've seen ever.
Oh, yeah. No, it's up there. Like I say, the perfect timing for a full page moment because that is a game-changing moment in the story. And then when you see Harley's ready to come over and give him a celebratory hug, he slaps her away. And she's like, I don't understand. Like, what are you doing? And he's like, no, that's my kill. Batman is mine, not yours. And she's like saying, I figured out your plan. And Joker's like, it rips it up to shreds
Yeah.
and says, I don't need you to explain it to me. That was my goal, my everything. You've just ruined that moment. And you just see her just completely in shock that she winds up like trying to fight him off with a swordfish because obviously they're in an aquarium. And he actually knocks her out of the building and she's falling to her death. Like, how insane is this panel, Tom?
That's perfect Joker. That is exactly what you would expect out of Joker. I'm sorry, but if you're getting the Joker to that point of mania and to the point where he's still coherent to some degree, what would Joker? It is, WWJD. What would Joker do?
Yeah.
I mean, see ya.
Yeah.
He's not going to sugarcoat it. I mean, you're stealing his thunder. You're stealing his plan. You're stealing his punchline. You're stealing his kill. You are literally taking the Joker away from Joker. I mean, the only other thing you could do is get the white off his face. Oh, wait, she's got that on her face already. So, I mean, yeah, he's fucking pissed. I don't blame him.
Yeah. Matt?
Yeah, dude, this is like a culmination of everything that's kind of been building up, right?
That word too.
It's this it has boiled over, and it's kind of where we cross the line into this is no more like it's kind of dark. This isn't just a kid's cartoon at this point. It's man, he just right out the building. Like that's pretty messed up to do to somebody that she's obviously in love. Joker doesn't love. He's incapable of loving. So yeah, it's pretty dark, and it kind of crosses that threshold into this more adult theme, if you will, that kind of starts laying the groundwork for future Joker tales, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And the other thing about it too is that after Harley's out the window, Joker goes on, grabs the gun and just puts it point blank at Batman's head. And to be honest, that is so un-Joker because he is that so unhinged. He's not gonna take the easy way out. He's got to have that plan. He has to have that forethought. Joker's not going to just sporadically go, "Oh, hey, Batsy." It's not going to happen like that.
He also loves the chase.
Yeah, just as much as Batman has to have the mission, Joker has to have the last laugh.
Mm-hmm. And in this moment too, he doesn't know how to react because he could technically win, but he can't because he can't take credit for it. It's absolutely, wild to see play out that the Joker has just been upstaged. And like I say, he's literally seconds away from his crowning achievement and he can't enjoy it. And you just see the Batman obviously takes advantage of that because the gun doesn't go off at the right space. He escapes, winds up having that great fight sequence, getting his belt back, and then this is where Joker tries jumping off the ledge to the train. And this is where like things really start amping up too. Like I say, the end is near, and it's playing out just as you expect because the Joker's like thinking, "Oh, I'm going to escape." Batman catches him on the train, and then even gives him like the best one-liner right before this ends because when Joker's just taunting him, and Batman just stands there, he goes, he's like, "I knew your ego could never allow anyone else to have the quote-unquote honor to kill me. Though I have to admit, she came a lot closer than you ever did." Puddin'. Just hit the mic drop moment on that. Like, how good is that scene?
It's fantastic. And to bookend it, because that's great at the end, but at the beginning when Joker breaks out and he's on the roof, everybody knows that he goes, yeah. Sorry, copyright infringement.
Yeah, though they play right into the Batman themes right here. But it's just to see him actually crack a joke, Matt. Like, how is that?
It's bad, dude. It's something they do with the coloring there is the red background because that's an old like anime style type thing, right? Like Joker has now fully seen red. Before, like he was unhinged, but now like that was the thing that broke his back because basically Batman is being like, "Hey, guess what? She did it better than you ever could."
Yep.
And they've been at this for how long at this point? So for Joker, it's like you crossed the line.
Yeah. And just to see him just break down, it was just absolutely wild to see. The fight scene breaks out, and then Batman gets the upper hand, gives him the full page panel shot.
That's such a good shot too, man. It's so classic comic book, man. Like this is a poster that just should hang everywhere. It's just so classic.
It's the lettering. The lettering does it for me on this one.
And the fact it goes off the panel itself too, outside of the border.
Yeah,
so
it's
it
not
really gives you that
confined.
depth. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something you don't see a lot in comics these days. To
It's
be
a
honest with you.
shame.
Well, yeah, it's such a vintage storytelling move,
Oh yeah.
but it's one that, like I say, I wish you saw a little bit more in comics these days. I understand like it's time and place for it because this is just such an old school move, but it still plays out and it just adds that much more gravity to the moment that like like okay, the fight is done. Like there's no coming back from this. And this is where we just kind of get the quick, wind up. Joker falls into a smokestack rather, I should say.
Yep. All akin to Ace Chemicals, and goes, not again.
Yeah.
Yes.
And even though his body is gone, the police are still looking for him, but they have no idea where he is. Harley Quinn is back at Arkham, all taped up. Like somehow she survived that fall because that was a fall. That was not a out just like a couple feet. Like that had some height on that.
You should
Yeah,
be
she is
Yeah.
hurting.
She is broken and battered, not just physically but mentally as well.
Yeah, and at this point too, she's swearing off the Joker. You can see in the word bubbles, and then that freaking last panel, like it still kills me to this day.
She swears off the Joker like I swear off football at the end of every football season.
Yeah, and sure enough, you see the feel better soon, Jay, and she's like, "Oh, it's like a kiss," and that's how the story wraps up. Man.
Oh, Harleen.
Yeah. I mean, so much good with this story. I mean, from the vintage storytelling to, the emergence of Harley Quinn as a real threat in the DCU. I mean, not even just the Batman, just, overall. And then to see where she really makes just a huge impact out the gate against Batman. Like, that was my takeaways from it and the good side of things. I mean, Tom, we'll start with you. What did you really love about this series?
About this one, I mean, it's thanks, Matt. I heard that in there. We can do the ASMR version next time. I heard everything, but it's true. There really is. There's nothing wrong with this. There seriously isn't. This is perfect. This can do no wrong.
Matt, how about you?
My only complaint that I have,
You didn't get the hardbound version novelization. I know.
that it ended. Is that it ended, man? It's a damn near. It's perfect, dude. Like the coloring. We've talked about the lettering. Like we've shouted out lettering in the past, but like this is lettering 101. If you want to use the most of your lettering to tell a story, this should be taught in a class. And the colors and the ratios, like the Joker going outside the borders, and you're not confined to these boxes that you typically think you have to be in, and the humor and the level of understanding that it's the Joker and Batman are forever entwined. They don't ever want to actually defeat one another, and they subliminally tell you that in this tale while also introducing probably the most iconic female anti-hero, I guess, because there's some instances where she is on the winning side. There's some instances when she's straight up a villain. She's doing her own thing, man. So she's just iconic, and this is where she was born. It's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. I mean, I don't think there was anything that really stood out to me that was, bad.
No.
I mean, this is just vintage storytelling 101 by masters of the craft. Like I say, they understand how to tell great stories. I mean, we saw this all on Batman the Animated Series, and even now bringing it to the comic page, like it was perfectly set up. You understand the origin. You have the great idea about what Harley Quinn is at this time. And then to see now where she has evolved since then and really broken out into her own character, which is a testament to how she's written, and it's a testament to how the fans have accepted her. I mean, to really make this breakaway, I mean, the easiest comparison is Dick Grayson as Nightwing, stepping out of the shadow of being connected with Batman. Not too many people these days connect Harley with Joker as much. Like, Harley is her own character, and it's awesome to see. So
I would agree with that, but I think that a lot of us older guys,
yeah.
For me, there's no Harley without the Joker, and even still at any given day, it's always going to be the two together. For me, I don't know if I'm sounding old. Get off my lawn, but there's not one without the other. Just as if there's no Batman without the Joker. I think that they are all you can't. And yeah,
Well, it's just because, when we, like I say, we're a little older about this, is we saw that evolution and they were paired together, and people, I remember, used to use the hashtag relationship goals with them, and it's like, no, no, no,
Oh
no,
man,
no,
did they miss the point?
no, 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 no. Just to see how she started with them, and then when she finally made the break. I mean, I think in comics she's really done a masterful job about separating herself from Joker. Like I say, she's literally her own character. Pairing her on the Suicide Squad, as much as we see her in the comics, has been a real win because, like, honestly, that's her team now.
Yeah.
And you think about like where she's gone with Poison Ivy and their relationship. Like that's been one of the best ones in comics. And to see now that she's just her own character and just really carved her niche in pop culture. Like I say, it's like
She's
the
part
evolution.
of the Birds of Prey, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she's like the standout character there too. I love how Kelly Thompson's writing her in that series too. Like,
now, here's an interesting one since we're talking about the origin of Harley Quinn. Matt, do you know? Because I know Ken probably knows this one, but I'm going to throw this one to you because you're the Mad Love goof as you are. Do you know where the idea for Harley Quinn came from?
Dude, I actually heard it on a Kevin Smith podcast when I first got.
What a wonderful time to be alive!
I can't remember though. I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember.
She was inspired by Arlene Sorkin's weird, trippy dream sequence, and I believe it might have been Days of Our Lives or one of those other NBC.
Yeah, that's right, because that's the episode he had with her. Yes.
Yep. So that's where Arlene Sorkin came to get to do the role to give us the beautiful base for foundation that Harley Quinn got to be. And then you had Tara Strong, who's been voicing her for God knows how long now. And then, you have the new adaptation on HBO with Kaylee Cuoco.
Oh, yeah. Kaylee Cuoco, amazing.
Oh, my God.
She surprised me, to be honest.
So, yeah, me too. Like, I still remember as a little girl from Charmed,
It's
the last few seasons of Charmed.
Oh, and yeah.
So that's just me. But yeah, it all came from a trippy, soap opera dream sequence that we got this amazing character who more than likely will last longer than that soap opera.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you just have to think just that evolution and just what she's doing now, and especially like she's all over the place in DC. But every time you see her, there's a different interpretation of her. Like I would say, one of the series that I love, if anybody's looking for something great to pick up at the comic shop, is Harley Quinn, Black, White, and Redder.
Ooh, yeah.
If you haven't checked that out, and especially, I'll even give a plug. There's one of my favorite Harley Quinn stories of all time is one written by a good friend of ours, Ryan Parrott.
Oh, yeah. That guy. Where do I know him from?
Oh, it's Power Rangers Rogue.
There's some massive thing that I remember him from.
Yes, which we will give the cheap plug to for the Massiverse card game that you can get on Kickstarter right now. No, that whole series has been absolutely great. So if anybody's looking for like great interpretations of Harley Quinn, I highly recommend picking that up.
Oh, yeah.
There's a couple different volumes of it. Definitely make sure to take the time to go get it at the comic shops. But before we wrap it up about Harley Quinn and Mad Love, we got to give our grades. So out of 10, super chat, throw them in. We want to see everybody's picks on this. Out of 10, what is your grade for Mad Love? And we'll start with Tom.
10 out of 10 ha-has.
Fair enough. So Tom has got a 10 out of 10. Matt, how about you?
10 out of 10 puddings, baby.
Oh, Mr. Matt.
Yeah. With this whole series, if you really want to take a look at vintage storytelling at its finest and the evolution of a character that has really gone through a metamorphosis throughout the years, look no further than this issue. What Bruce Timm and Paul Dini have done with this is just really given fans just a full layered character that had so much growth to do, and we've seen over the years just has evolved into one of the biggest comic characters in pop culture history. This is prime storytelling 101 if you love a Batman story, if you love a Joker story, or if you really want to get a great introduction to Harley Quinn. This is an easy 10 out of 10, no matter how you want to skew it up. This is an essential reading for any comic book fan. If you haven't checked it out for whatever reason, make sure to go down to the comic shops and go get this. This is absolutely worth the time reading. It still holds up to this day. So I know it's dated from 1993, but still, it is one that holds up. And you can give this to anybody and they will instantly become fans of the character. And then, especially if you're only used to what you see now in the animated show for Harley Quinn or what you see in Birds of Prey or Suicide Squad, it's a great counter to what you see there because you can see the beginnings and you can see the growth. So, like I say, highest possible recommendation on this one. But before we get out of here, as I alluded to, it is New Comic Book Day. So there's a lot of stuff that is coming out at the shops today and tomorrow as we're recording. So Matt, tell us what you're picking up this week.
Well, I picked up a wondrous Batman tale, funny enough. It's called Batman First Night. This is book 1 of a 3-issue series set in 1939. It's kind of got the rise of the Nazi Party. Batman does not have an Alfred, believe it or not. Bruce has another ally that he's very ingrained friend-wise with. It's a very good, interesting Elseworlds kind of take on this from their Black Label series. And man, I really enjoyed. They go back to that night, the early, if you kind of remember Batman first introduction to the comics, he has the purple gloves, things like that. It's those little nods to the very first showing of Batman. And it's Dan Jurgens, amazing, great. He wrote it. Make sure you pick that up. It's a great comic book.
Excellent pick. Tom, how about you?
Ken, you're my pick this week.
Oh,
okay. So everybody out here, I'm going to hijack the show here for a second. So if you don't know, Ken is a very private-ish guy, okay? And this guy is celebrating a birthday this week. And I've always had a thing going on as an underlying joke with him. So, having that said...
Oh, geez. Okay, this is live because I don't even see.
I know. You don't know. Guy in the chair knows. Matt knows.
I do.
You don't know. So, in recognition of your tireless efforts, Ken M., you have earned the title of hardest working man in comics.
He is. And if you guys don't know, Ken really is the hardest working man in comics. This guy
He's been on vacation and he's been contacting so many comic book creators and everything. Today alone, this dude should not be working, and he's always working. This dude has done so much, not only for myself, for everybody here at Nerd Initiative. Like, that is the smallest thing I can do for you, man, because that is the first of many volumes I could say about you.
Well, first and foremost, I appreciate the kind words, my friend. Thank you so much. Yeah, I am actually for one of the rare times you got me a little speechless. No, I mean, yeah, this is definitely going up on the wall here, some way somehow, and I appreciate everybody's supports for this. And like I say, I am only as good as the team around me. So whether it's the guy in the chair who we don't give enough credit to at Nerd Initiative for all the videos that you see get posted up for the comics department, that's 100% Rich, taking the time out of his day to do the edits. And he does such a phenomenal job with it. He's getting, like a lot of creators are picking up on it too. And I can't give him enough flowers. For Tom, who's been with us, God, how long now?
I think 4 years, I think we figured it out.
Yeah, 4 years. I mean, who's always been, the guy that's not afraid to ask anybody any questions, anytime, any place. He'll talk to anyone. To Matt, who is, since we've known each other for, God, I don't even know how many years now, and seeing how him and Lauren and Marty and Mickey and everybody else in the bullpen have just really taken the comic review world by storm. It has been, just a pleasure to be a part of. And, like I said, I can't thank you guys enough. And I appreciate everybody's kind wishes, man. This definitely has caught me off guard, but I definitely love this. Like, I've got to find some place to hang it so it'll be on camera each and every week. So
quick, somebody get the picture of Stilgard. That's how I feel about Ken in comic books and this whole entire team right now.
Amazing.
The Messiah.
Gotcha. Oh, and aside from that, I mean, obviously everybody knows Ranger Academy is coming out, so that's my pick. But seriously, it's still Ken.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, yeah, it's a great series too.
Look at that graphic. Yeah. Like, that is the guy in the chair kicking ass and taking names.
Yes. So, yeah, like I say, if you haven't checked out Boom Studios, Power Ranger stuff, like I say, phenomenal stuff. And Ranger Academy is one that's like literally flying under the radar.
It really is. It's a really great story about a kid who look, the grid works in mysterious ways. Long story short, Sage is a teenager. She stows away, comes to Ranger Academy. We're still iffy on when this happens in the whole Ranger universe. Time-wise, there's a really neat, chronology, I guess, timeline with it. So I've been questioning it, and you can check all these out in my reviews because, trust me being a Power Rangers expert, I'm just going to fucking say it. trust me, there's not much that I don't question about it. And trust me, I don't soapbox when I make a comment. I put a good point out there. So highly recommend it, especially it's a coming of age story. And if you're not big into Rangers, it's still a great teen story to begin with. And there's great new designs, like to see these new Ranger suits. It's a nice blend of Hyperforce, of Mighty Morphin, and a little bit you could get of some of the Boom exclusive ones. There's a little Omega Gold in there, but either way, go get it.
Excellent pick. For me, I have two. So one, we don't have a graphic for, but you can see it on screen here. This is the Massiverse fighting card game that's out from Solus Game Studios. This is on Kickstarter right now. This is absolutely going to be something must-have if you're into card fighting games. This has got, first and foremost, Dan Mora artwork. It's the Massiverse, so you know Kyle Higgins, Radiant Black, Melissa Flores, Dead Lucky, Matt Groom's Inferno Go Red, Ryan Parrott's Rogue Sun, and many, many more. Like I say,
It's got new game smell.
it does. And this is up on Kickstarter right now. It's definitely going to be an item that you want to pick up. Maybe we're going to do something at Nerd Initiative with it when it finally gets released. So you got to stay tuned for that. But the Kickstarter is up for there as well. And also talking about Kickstarters, shout out to Alan Dunford and the Horse and Hell team.
Yeah.
Holy horse and hell.
Couple more days to get that copy. The link is at nerdinitiative.com. They have absolutely smashed their goal yet again. So definitely want to give them a shout out. And then as we're talking comics, because you came to hear about some comics, we talked about this issue last week on the show when we had Josh Trujillo come through. Blue Beetle number 7. This is the tribute issue to the late Keith Geffen. This book is absolutely an incredible read. I loved it. If you're an old school DC reader, you're going to find much that you really enjoy with this book. And if you haven't been picking up Blue Beetle for whatever reason, I can't stress enough, it's one of DC Comics' best books out on the shelf right now. So you really want to make sure to go pick up the effort, go get the Scarab War, Graduation Day arcs, and then definitely pick up this issue. It's a one issue you can jump in. You don't need to catch up on everything if you haven't had time. And it's just such a tribute to what Keith did at DC Comics. Like I said, there's so many Easter eggs. If you're like an old school DC head, you will understand this and you will truly, truly appreciate that.
It reads new but feels old.
Yeah, like there's so much going on with it too. And like I say, it's an all-star lineup of artists involved too. Like I say, different eras. So much win here. So if you're into DC Comics, it's an absolute must-have for that. So before we get out of here, should we announce who we got coming through next week? Speaking of DC Comics.
Tell us, chat, should we?
Let them know.
So next week, since we are talking DC Comics, we can definitely put the graphic up in the chat. Tim Sheridan is coming through. He is the author of Alan Scott, The Green Lantern. He will be live on Turn a Page next week talking about this amazing series. You want to talk about series you need to pick up. This has been absolute lights out.
No. The lantern has to stay on.
Well, you know what? It could stay on, but I'm telling you, it's a lights out series that you absolutely need to add to your collection. It's such a good read. And just like you talk about creative teams absolutely crushing it. This whole team is killing it right now. And we're going to be fortunate enough to talk to Tim live on the air next week. Super excited about that. But before then, Matt, why don't you let everybody know what's going on with you and Hops Geeks News and your big weekend?
Oh boy, we got a big weekend. First things first, though, let's go to Hops Geek News, man. Me and Lauren have been doing lots of things and stuff. So we chatted with Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips, the creators of Enfield Gang Massacre for Image Comics. That is on both Nerd Initiative and if you search Hops Geek News or QR code this way, whichever way we're going, that's where you can find that. Along with, we just recently had Ryan Stegman and Kenny Porter, Tyrell Cannon on to talk about the Schlub 6 series issues. You know I love that. It is such a good comic. So make sure you get the trade coming out April 23rd. But listen to that episode. And then Friday, I'm going to be visiting our dear friend Tony up there in Washington, D.C. because I will be at Awesome Con where you can go ahead and catch us multiverse incursions and what's to come in the MCU. We're going to be compounding the MCU where we're just going to talk about where we think things are going to be coming on the horizon for Marvel, man. And it's going to be awesome getting to meet Tony for the first time in person. And we're going to have a blast. And then next weekend, the free St. Patrick's Day weekend, you can come to GalaxyCon Richmond because I have not one but 2 panels where I will be doing a special panel Friday night with Megan, funny enough.
Shout out to Megan.
Yay!
Shout out Megan.
Member of the Bullpen.
Yes, she already crushing it with her reviews, and she's going to help me crush the comic books you should be reading panel with Kyle Higgins, who is a late edition and a good friend of the show here. And we'll be talking
That's
Batman.
massive. That is so big. It's so radiant.
Yes.
See, kids, just reach out to anybody on Twitter. You never know who's going to say yes, just like I found out. And then Saturday night, we're going to be doing a Batman history panel where we dive into the history of Batman. So this may or may not be mentioned too.
Yeah, you definitely want to make sure you're following Hopsky Snooze on all socials and Nerd Initiative, because we'll definitely be resharing everything going on with all those cons going on. Super excited for Matt and Megan and Tony, and everybody's going to be crushing the next couple weekends, man. Definitely want to make sure pop up and say hi to them and go, get some Nerd Initiative in your life.
Yes.
Tom?
Put up the code. There we go. Or there you go. Would you give me more Ken? That works for me.
Yeah.
So even better, cover up that face. There's the money maker.
Yeah.
All right. So this Friday, as a matter of fact, you're going to catch me here on Nerd Initiative. I will be a guest on Fandoms. We're going to be getting all a little wibbly wobbly, timey and wimey talking about Doctor Who.
Okay.
All right. Because trust me, when I dropped that how much Doctor Who I know, anybody who's in the chat, trust me, they know. So I'll be on this Friday on Fandoms at 8 o'clock.
That's actually next week.
Next. I don't.
It's the 15th.
Oh, even better. How about that? I should be off that night.
Yes.
That's and you know what's even better about the 15th? That's my day before I go to Syracuse Collectors Con, and I'm emceeing the Power Rangers panel. That's going to be 11 o'clock up there. I believe it's 11 or 1. It's one of those ones with the ones in them. But if you keep following per the QR code, I will have all the information up there. We've got Justin the Blue Turbo Ranger. We've got actually all the Turbo Rangers with the exception of Cassie for reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Andros, who is the Red Ranger from Space Rangers, and obviously the Turbo Rangers went on to be the rest of the team. And then we also have one of the Psycho Rangers going to be showing up there as well. So we have part of the Red Raiders, if you've been following Bloodline of the Grid, independent film with my buddies Chris, DJ, and everybody else. So highly recommend that. So I will be up in Syracuse on March 16th. So definitely come by, say hi, and give me a live and direct.
Absolutely. Definitely make sure to check out Tom, what he's doing. And then, that special episode of Fandoms will be on March 15th. So you definitely want to make sure you drop that subscribe button on Nerd Initiative YouTube. Hit that bell icon and don't miss it when it drops.
This is why I have a calendar.
Yes. And as for me and everything going on with the ODPH, you can hit that QR code when it pops up. We got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of interviews getting lined up. So you're going to be seeing them come through on Nerd Initiative as well. And also, you definitely want to make sure you have your reminder set for Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Wrestling Night Live, where the guy in the chair...
Wrestling Night Live!
Yes, the guy in the chair gets out from behind the chair and in front of the camera with myself and new guy Nick. And we definitely dive into the land of AEW, WWE, GCW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and so much more, keeping it positive because, well, you're on the home of pop culture positivity. And then, of course, you can't get out of here without knowing that new Comic Book Day reviews are going to be dropping at Nerd Initiative, 9 a.m. on Tuesdays for a little bit longer until summertime. Then everything is getting moved to Wednesdays because Wednesdays is new Comic Book Day. We're definitely going to do something special for that. And then this week, the coverage kicks off 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with Marvel's Ultimate X-Men #1. So a lot of buzz going around that book. So we definitely are going to be kicking off with that. Having a great lineup of books this week to go check out. So if you need recommendations, look no further than the home of pop culture positivity, Nerd Initiative, where you can go to nerdinitiative.com, sign up for the newsletter, and you can find out all the big plans going on for 2024 and beyond. A lot of fandoms on the way, a lot of programs on the way, a lot more stuff that we can't even speculate on right now is on the way.
What about the merch?
And the merch too, because we are liable to share that every single episode. Otherwise, we have to get fined. Like if we were in AEW against the Young Bucks. So that's why we have to plug it. So if you want to get some Nerd Initiative gear, hats, coasters, you name it, is there. That's where you go support it in the physical form. So we definitely always appreciate that. And then last but not least, because it is the homework assignment every time, make sure you click on that subscribe button wherever you're watching. If it's on Twitch, if it's on Kick, if it's on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, Threads. We're definitely on Threads too as well. Make sure you click on that subscribe button. Click the bell notification for, to know when the shows are coming on, and definitely tap that thumbs up because it definitely helps the algorithm of the show and lets the bosses know that you want to see more of what is going on here at Nerd Initiative. So that all being said...
What about that code?
Oh, what? Oh, of course. Find your local comic shop right above Tom each and every episode. So if you need to find out where to go get these comic books that we are talking about on the show, simple. You click on that code, find your nearest comic shop, go support them. Make sure to get in there on Wednesday. Go make some friends with some fans. And especially if you have a great issue in your hands, such as Batman, Adventures, Mad Love, and you see somebody struggling, find something at the shop. Hand yours off to him. Tell him to turn the page. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Peace.